All right then, all you apprentices from Kent Business College, gather round. For the next few minutes, I want you to pop your textbooks to one side and pick up your magnifying glasses. Because you see, we're not students today, oh no. We are forensic investigators, and we've got ourselves a case that's a real head-scratcher.
Go on, you can admit it. We've all been there, haven't we? You get that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach when a project timeline starts looking less like a straight line and more like a plate of spaghetti that's been thrown at a wall. It's absolute chaos, it's carnage, and today we're performing the autopsy. And here it is. Here's our victim. The case of the Medway Bridge catastrophe. Now, it might be fictional, but I'm sure it feels painfully familiar to some. It promised to be the Jewel of Kent, a real triumph of modern construction. But instead, it was years late, millions over budget, and, to put it politely, a proper dog's dinner. The big question is, what was the cause of death? Every decent investigation needs a plan. So, here's ours. First, we're going to secure the crime scene, get the lay of the land. Then, we'll methodically bag and tag the evidence, hunting for those crucial clues. And finally, we'll put everything we've learned into the official detective's handbook, so you lot can stop these crimes from ever happening again. You ready? Let's get cracking.
Okay, we're on site. Have a good look around at the wreckage of this project. It is our job to piece together the timeline of events that led to this total disaster. I'm telling you, somewhere in this mess is the key to figuring out how it all went so horribly wrong.
So, after a quick sweep, we've already zeroed in on a prime suspect, the critical path method schedule itself. Now, to the untrained eye, it probably looked perfectly fine, but we suspect it was corrupt from the start. Our job is to prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that this dodgy schedule was the real villain here.
Right, let's open up the evidence locker. Exhibit A. I've logged this one as the case of the forced dates. Now, this is a very common offense, a bit of procedural corner cutting that, well, it can have catastrophic consequences later on.
And for this, we're going to call an expert witness to the stand. The Project Management Institute, the PMI, they've gone on record with this warning. Think of this as the forensic science of our case. They're telling us that constraints, or what we're calling forced dates, are absolutely not a substitute for proper logic. This, right here, this is our first big break in the case.
So, have a look at this. This is where it gets juicy. On the left, you've got the crime. See, the manager just told the software when the project had to finish. That's a schedule built on nothing more than wishful thinking. But on the right, that's the right way. You tell the software how well the work connects, step by step, and then it calculates the true finish date for you. That's a schedule built on logic. You see, forcing a date doesn't change reality, it just hides it.
Let's move on to our next piece of evidence. This is Exhibit B. I'm calling this one the mystery of the dangling digger. Now, I know it sounds a bit silly, but trust me, this is a classic signature of a careless planner, a real rookie mistake.
So what exactly is a dangler? It's actually dead simple. Imagine a recipe that just says add 1 egg, but it doesn't say when. Do you add it before the flour? After you stick it in the oven? It's an instruction with no connection to what comes before or after. So in our bridge project, it's like having a digger that's scheduled to do, well, something, but it isn't logically linked to actually digging the foundations. It's just floating there.
And that's the killer point. These danglers, they blow massive holes in your entire plan. If the activity to dig foundations isn't properly linked to pour concrete, then your entire project timeline is pure fiction. It's a work of fantasy. And let me tell you, auditors absolutely love spotting these things because it is a dead cert sign that the schedule is frankly a bit bent.
And all of that brings us to our final and maybe most devious clue. This is the one that lets all the others get away with it. Let's call it the magic box mistake. This is all about a detective putting a bit too much faith in their shiny equipment.
So what is the magic box? Well, that's your scheduling software, your P6, your MS project. The mistake is treating it like it's some kind of crystal ball. You just shovel in a load of assumptions, it spits out a bunch of dates, and you present it as gospel truth, without ever bothering to check its workings. The PMI has warned that an alarming number of professionals can't even explain how their software calculates something as basic as float. It's staggering.
And this really shows why that is so dangerous. Look, the computer isn't Sherlock Holmes. It is just a very fast, very obedient calculator. If you feed it rubbish logic, riddled with forced dates and dangling diggers, it's not going to question you. It will just calculate the dates based on that rubbish. It's simple, really. Garbage in, garbage out.
So, there you have it. We've identified our culprits. It wasn't one single fatal blow that doomed the Medway Bridge project. It was a conspiracy of errors. The forced dates, well, they created the alibi by hiding how long it would really take. The dangling digger was the accomplice, breaking the chain of logic. And the magic box mistake? That was the getaway driver, making sure nobody questioned the faulty evidence until it was far, far too late.
Right, we've cracked the case. But a good detective doesn't just solve crimes, they prevent them from happening in the first place. So now we open up the detective's handbook to learn the golden rules that will keep your projects off my crime scene docket.
You need to commit these 5 rules to memory. 1. Your schedule has to be built on the cold, hard logic of how the work actually gets done. No shortcuts. 2. Tie up every single loose end. No danglers allowed on my watch. 3. Treat constraints like they're a ghost pepper. Use them very, very sparingly, and only when you absolutely have to. 4. Know your tools inside and out. Understand what the software is actually doing. And 5. Take a snapshot of your plan right at the start and check your progress against it, religiously.
And really, it all comes down to this. We all know that famous British saying, right? Keep calm and carry on. Well, in our world, in project management, there's a vital bit missing. You can only truly be calm, you can only truly be in control when you know for a fact that your plan is built on a solid foundation of defensible logic. Anything else is just pretending.
So I'll leave you with one final thought. When you get that first big project and the client is breathing down your neck wanting a finish date, are you going to be just another manager feeding the magic box what it wants to hear? Or are you going to be a detective, interrogating the assumptions, hunting for flawed logic, and uncovering the actual truth of the timeline? The choice, detectives, is yours. Case closed.